those things and support them that way.
Broncos head coach Brian Harsin joining us here on the show. We'll finish off talking about tomorrow's game against San Diego State as we've kind of dictated over the last couple of hours. Boy, crazy things have happened in this series. And last year, though, you guys dominated San Diego State in every aspect of the game, against the run, against the pass, how you guys ran the football, special teams. Was that the most complete game you guys played and coached all of last season?
Pretty close. Yeah, when you add everything in to how the defense played against a really good run team, that's one of the things they do best and one of the best in the country. And our defense, I thought, played physical. They played fast. They had a few runs on us. They made a few throws. But for the most part, we were very consistent on that side of the ball. Special teams were huge. We scored on special teams. We created field position. We won that battle. And then we scored on defense as well. I thought offensively we did run the ball. There were some things we could have took advantage of, maybe some more shot opportunities, maybe some things down the field that we could have hit. And we didn't, but we ran the ball. We were physical in that game. And probably the most impressive thing, our guys came to play. We were on the road. We had just gone back-to-back. We're off a bye week. We played BYU. We're back on the road again against San Diego State. They're ranked. They had some really good wins. And this was going to be a massive challenge for us. And these guys at that time were back-to-back champions in the Mountain West. So this was a great opportunity for us to go out there and shine and take advantage of it, and we did. And so I hope our team – we learned from that last year. That was 17, now 18. We got to do the same things. We have to go out there and play. We got to be consistent in all three phases, and there's going to have to be something on one side, special teams, not just offense, special teams or defense, where we create some momentum.
Head coach Brian Harsin of the Boise State Broncos take on San Diego State here at Albertson Stadium tomorrow. We got so many great Broncos fans out here. Let's hear for Coach here. Let's hear for this program and this team right now. Got a big one coming up tomorrow. It means a lot that you took time out of your day to come hang with us. I saw your kids. We were here when it was pitch black out, and it was like 5:45 in the morning. You got kids over in the weight center working out at that point in time. I don't know how you're doing it with college kids, getting them to wake up that early, but nice job.
Yeah, well, they have to. Yeah, that's how we're doing it. So, yeah, that's our blue blood group there. That's our young guys. That's our future. Yeah. And, like anything else, we don't neglect that. We're developing those guys, and someday we're not talking about them now, but in a couple years we'll be talking about those guys. That'll be the future, and they're pretty good.
Brian Harsin, head coach of the Boise State Broncos. San Diego State has just taken a 3-0 lead over the Broncos.
Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, pick up 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil for $28.95 and get a $10 O'Reilly gift card by mail. Protect your engine from sludge and wear with Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This here is the story of Lawrence, who always wanted to play pro football. His parents supported his love of the game, sent him to special camps, and then in college, pro scouts came to a bunch of games where Lawrence was playing the trumpet at halftime. Yeah, Lawrence was never that good at football, gave up by the time he got to college. But he also learned how Geico could save him a lot of money on car insurance, so he switched and saved. So, this here story has a happy ending after all.
Do you owe the IRS more than $10,000? The folks at Civic Tax Relief can help. Their professionals have over 25 years of experience negotiating with the IRS. That's critical. They know the policies, the procedures, and the right people to contact to save you the maximum amount of money. They will negotiate your IRS tax debt, plus protect you from bank levies and wage garnishments. Do not let the IRS take advantage of you. Call now for free information on the Fresh Start Initiative. Experienced tax professionals are standing by. They will listen to your situation, find out what you need, and give you all the ways they can help in the first free call. This information is free and could change your life. So call now, 800-955-8408. That's 800-955-8408. Call now, 800-955-8408. For free information and real help with the IRS, call 800-955-8408. If you can't seem to stay ahead of your bills, then this message is for you. How would you like to have a large portion of your credit card debt, medical bills, and department store debt forgiven? National Credit Card Relief would like to give you free information on a proven debt forgiveness program. This program has been used by thousands to legally forgive millions in unsecured debt. It's not bankruptcy. It's not consolidation. This special program actually wipes clean the portion of your debt that is forgiven from what you owe your creditors. Call for free information and get all your questions answered in the first free call. The more you owe, the more you can save. If you have at least $10,000 or more in credit card bills, this debt forgiveness program can be very effective. Call for free information and find out more now. 800-291-6670. There is no cost or obligation for the information. Don't wait. Call 800-291-6670. That's 800-291-6670. Get your debt problem solved. Call 800-291-6670 today. Not available in North Dakota.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Ventilation Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants. With Wave units, there are no buckets of water or filters, and they cost only pennies a day to run. Wave can transform your home into a drier, healthier environment. Satisfaction guaranteed. Ask about our indoor air package that includes the Wave Ventilation Unit plus a 6-stage portable air purifier. Dealer opportunities available. For more information, visit dryhousenow.com. That's dryhousenow.com or call 888-979-WAVE. That's 888-979-WAVE.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
You owe over $10,000 in back taxes. You've called every tax firm out there. They all say the same thing, making promises they never keep. And you're sick of it. What you really need is a new start on your back taxes. If you're faced with garnishments, levies, audits, or years of unfiled tax returns, we'll fight to get you the new start you deserve. Call 1-800-312-9970. Our New Start program could stop collection efforts, remove any liens the IRS has in place, and help you reduce your back taxes by as much as 80%. That's right, 80%. Don't wait until another tax season ends and another year of penalties and interest are added to your balance. If you owe at least $10,000 to the IRS and need a new start on your back taxes, call 1-800-312-9970. That's 1-800-312-9970. Let the professionals at Coast One Financial Group fight to get you the new start you deserve. Again, that's 1-800-312-9970.
Sports Flash.
I'm Laura Ridley. Top 25 college football action. Some games in progress. We'll go to Ann Arbor, Michigan. It's number 15, Michigan, leading Maryland 27-14. That game late in the third had about an hour and 15-minute delay because of lightning in Ann Arbor. Games just kicked off here at a little, I guess, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. Number 4, Clemson and Wake Forest scoreless. Number 5, LSU leading number 22, Florida, 7-0 in the first down in the Swamp. Nick Brissett, 4-yard TD run for the Bayou Bengals. Also, number 17, Miami, hosting unranked Florida State. They are scoreless in the first. Also, no score in the first. Iowa State visiting number 25, Oklahoma State. Coming up here at 4 p.m. Eastern, kicking off right now. About to get underway, Indiana at number 3, Ohio State. Arizona State at 21st ranked, Colorado. Earlier finals, number 1 Alabama beats up on Arkansas 61-35. Tua Tagovailoa, 4 TD passes for the Tide. He's completing about 75% of his passes on the year. He's got 18 passing TDs, no picks, and he's yet to play in a fourth quarter. At the Texas State Fair, a lot of fun watching a Red River Showdown record day.
Out of the shotgun. Sam with the snap, turns. Elliger looks to throw, fires over the middle, caught, L.J. Humphrey, touchdown Texas. Elliger laid in a beautiful ball right over the top of the Sooner defense.
Number 19, Texas hangs on the beat. Number 7, Oklahoma, 48-45. That was Craig Way on the Longhorn IMG Radio Network. UT kicking the game-winning field goal with 9 seconds left after OU scored 21 straight points to tie the game. Now, Sam Ehlinger, 5 total TDs for the Horns. Kyler Murray, 5 combined TDs for Boomer. 9th-ranked West Virginia, too much for Kansas, 38-22 the final. Will Greer, 4 TD passes for the Mountaineers. Northwestern upsetting number 20 Michigan State in East Lansing, 29-19. Wildcats QB Clayton Thorson, 3 TD passes, 1 rushing. And it was number 23 NC State holding on to get past Boston College, 28-23. Major League Baseball playoffs, ALDS, a pair of game 2s coming up today. Here at the bottom of the hour, Indians at Astros, a 4:37 p.m. Eastern first pitch. Houston leading that series 1-0. Yankees at Red Sox tonight, 8:15 p.m. Eastern at Fenway Park. Boston leading 1-0. Red Sox removing knuckleballer Stephen Wright from the ALDS roster. He has a knee injury. Heath Embry replaces Wright. I'm Larry Ridley.
We are Symetria Recovery, the one outpatient treatment network that focuses on one thing:
crushing opioid addiction.
With one treatment team.
Counselors, doctors, nurses, psychiatrists.
One proven method, the Symetria method.
With a success rate 4 times the industry average.
Call 844-847-6999.
That's 844-847-6999.
Hey, opioid addiction, we've got your number.
For nearly 2 decades, TexAgs has been the #1 Aggie community online. And thanks to that community, we've been able to grow into so much more. TexAgs is now an industry-leading media company that covers Aggie football, basketball, baseball, and recruiting like nobody else. Our staff of over 30 consistently delivers in-depth analysis, X's and O's breakdowns, award-winning video content, and the most reliable inside information you can find. So if you love the Ags, come check us out at TexAgs.com and become a premium subscriber. TexAgs.com/subscribe.
Hi, this is Bobby Jenkins with ABC Home and Commercial Services. This is the time of year when rodents are flourishing. That means rats, raccoons, and mice are seeking shelter inside your home. No matter what kind of rodents you have, ABC can create a plan to get rid of them. Close up the openings where they come in and catch any that may be in your home. Plus, all ABC specialists undergo background screening so you can feel comfortable with our team on your property. ABC Home and Commercial Services, specialists for your environment.
For courteous service, just call ABC Home and Commercial Services.
Gage Gandy Bail Bonds. We put your feet back on the streets. Fast professional service with the best rates in town. Gage Gandy Bail Bonds. Open 24/7. Call 979-821-BOND. That's 979-821-2663. Gage Gandy Bail Bonds is Aggie-owned and operated, class of 95. Serving the Brazos Valley for over 20 years. Gage Gandy Bail Bonds is located behind the Brazos County Courthouse in Bryan. Call 979-821-BOND. That's 979-821-2663. Or visit GageGandyBailBonds.com. We put your feet back on the streets. Catch the Liucci Hour every Tuesday and Thursday from noon till 1, where we expect to see you at the tap to get your Aggie football fix with Ryan Brauninger, TexAg's lead recruiting analyst, and Billy Liucci himself. Get Aggie previews, reviews, and recruiting info, plus a special in-restaurant-only pick'em contest. And enjoy lunch specials, which always include a side and a drink. If you can't make it in person, watch the Liucci Hour live on Facebook and YouTube. The Liucci Hour every Tuesday and Thursday at the tap from noon till 1.
Your home for Fighting Texas Aggie football this season is on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM. Don't miss 1 second of the action with Andrew Monaco and Dave Elmendorf on the call as the Aggies take on the best of the best in college football. Texas A&M football on the Zone is brought to you by Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Caliber Realty, Elms Orthodontics, and Gage Gandy Bail Bonds. Your home for Fighting Texas Aggie football this season is on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
Welcome out to the Zone Game Day Show, everybody. It is sponsored by TexAgs. The Zone Game Day Show, it is 2 hours of Well, it's Aggie football talk, but with some of the greatest minds in the history of the Aggie football media. They couldn't make it, so instead, Louis Bellina of The Zone, along with Olin Buchanan of TexAgs.com, TexAgs, TexAgs Radio, that whole TexAgs universe, and Robert Cessna of the Bryan College Station Eagle. He's not just he is the longtime 40-plus years. He is the sports editor of the Eagle. The three of us will talk A&M. We're going to talk Kentucky. We'll talk A&M versus Kentucky. All things Aggie football for the next 2 hours. It's the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com. We are live from the lawn of the Association of Former Students building. Finally, even though it's 103 degrees today, guys, welcome out to the Zone Game Day Show.
Good to be here. Get a little sweat. That's okay. Well, other people will be sweating after 6 o'clock, and we'll be in air conditioning watching, so that's good.
It's not too bad now that we're in the tent here, but when I was walking from the parking lot to the tent, feel like I was getting a workout.
I do wonder what the temperature is out on the sidewalk and the road here outside Kyle Field, because our handy-dandy fancy thermostat we have that says 103 is actually in the shade.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's 103 in the shade. So, over the next 2 hours, as mentioned, we're going to get you to 5 o'clock. That's when Andrew Monaco takes over with Dave Elmendorf, the official A&M pregame show. Kickoff 6:05:54, whatever TV tells them to go, they go. A&M Kentucky, you'll hear that game right here on 11:50 a.m. It's a rare time, but not on 102.7 FM tonight. The reason why we'll have the Spanish language broadcast of Aggie football on 102.7 FM. Why? It's a long story. Programming note from earlier this week. That's the best way to put it. And then after the game, 30 minutes after the game, we break it all down. It's the Zone Call-In Show, also sponsored by TexAgs.com. 2 hours of your phone calls, and will we talk about the Jimbo signature win, or will we talk about not defending Kyle Field? That's what the three of us will try and figure out over the next 2 hours. Guys, I want to start with the base concept of this is when, starting with Kentucky but not ending, A&M and Jimbo Fisher year one starts to define itself. The first 5 games are kind of simplish if you really think about it. They lost to number 1 and 2 in the country. Not a real surprise. Valiant effort against Clemson. Okay. That was 0-2, kind of as it always was going to be. They beat 3 teams ranked outside of the top 90 in the rankings, and they should have beat those 3 teams. Doesn't really define you. Those 2 losses to 1 and 2 in the country were not going to define the year. These 3 wins were not going to define the year. The only way is if you lost either one, because they're extremes. They're 3-2, kind of where they should be. These are the games. Kentucky, Mississippi State, Auburn. Let's throw South Carolina in here, where Aggie football is going to define year one for Jimbo, and it starts tonight at Kyle Field.
I agree. It's October is going to be the defining month. I really like I today would fully expect A&M to go no less than 2-1 in November. So October, what is there for today? Well, you have 3 other games this month. So against not great, not yet proven to be great, but very good teams. I think you can still say Auburn looks very good. Kentucky's very good. Still has to prove something. I don't know what Mississippi State is.
Neither do they, by the way.
I'm not sure what I know what South Carolina is, but challenging games. 3 of them are on the road. So absolutely, and what they do. The reason how come there's a new coach here is because of A&M's consistently poor performance in the second half of the season.
Consistently inconsistent.
So, absolutely,
that along with not winning enough big games. When someone first came in, he was able to win some big games, and then, of course, at the end he wasn't. And I agree with you 100%, Louie. And what's kind of funny is, I admit before the season I circled this stretch to start with South Carolina, and we'll get into it later. I thought Kentucky would be an easy victory send-off before they go on the road. What has happened is it's now, as you guys alluded to, it adds one more week, one more grueling week to the SEC. And I agree with Olin. I think Mississippi State's not as good as they were. People thought maybe South Carolina as well, maybe even Auburn, but now Kentucky's elevated their game a little bit. Anytime you go on the road, we've seen it before. A&M goes on the road last week for the first time. Sometimes you just don't play as well as on the road. So now is a defining time. I think it's defining time, for Fisher's first season, as you said. Not just take it for what it is. These next few games where is A&M football in the first year under Jimbo Fisher? Where is Kellen Mond? I know we'll get it into him. I think he needs to have a bounce-back game after Arkansas. But the good news is everything's in front of A&M. You're right. We all thought A&M would be 3-2, and I actually will admit they played number 1 and number 2 probably better than I thought they would going into the season.
Part of the whole defining, it's not just the wins and the losses, but there's little elements that have been missing over the past 3, 4, and 5 years. One of them is winning at Kyle Field. And they're facing an undefeated team that's 5-0 and ranked 13th in the country. And it would be the big win, the signature win. You're beating the top 15 team, but it's also defending Kyle Field. And this, to me, plays into the whole theme of defining who you're going to be. And championship teams always win at home. And it's part of that first steps of building a championship program. And that's all Jimbo's doing here. Everything you can hear him talk about, every decision he's making is working. Maybe not in 2018, but everything is building towards that goal.
Yeah, I think Gabe gave the stat this week that A&M is either 1-7 or 1-8 against top 15 teams at Kyle Field since coming into the SEC. And that one win, we'll remember, that was against Tennessee, that overtime win.
Double OT or just OT?
Yeah,
I forget.
I think it was double OT.
Yeah, double. Great game.
It didn't have to be. A&M allowed it to be. Travion
right.
fumbling into the end zone.
See, the great game comes in when you win. When you lose, it's not.
This is and Tennessee might have been about 13. So this is a very similar opportunity that wasn't. But then if you are fortunate enough to win today, then you got to do what that team didn't do, which means to build on it and close fast in the second half.
Actually, I was looked up the other day. Tennessee and A&M, that was a top 10 matchup. Both were in the top 10. I don't know if they rate 9 or 10, but to allude to what you said is if you take it further, since joining the SEC, A&M at home against top 25s is 3-11, but they're 9-8 away from Kyle Field against ranked teams. So they played better on the road, and we saw that against someone, and you just can't do that. I think you asked the question, Fisher alluded to that. You got to be good everywhere, but particularly at home. And A&M fans got frustrated that they couldn't win. I think someone lost his last 3 home games here against ranked teams.
Well, that's where I'll expand upon that. We're talking about the ranked games at home. What about losing to unranked Ole Miss at home and unranked Mississippi State at home? Yeah. It was losing at home. I don't care if they were ranked or not. You don't lose at home. Losing at home to me is 10 times ever worse than losing on the road, because on the road it's on TV. You're not there. Look, when I'm going to spend the amount of money to buy a ticket to go to this thing, and I'm going to spend all day tailgating and the hype that goes into it, losing at home mentally I think is 10 times worse than a road loss. I'm talking about the impact on the fan.
It's obviously been very traumatic for fans because they've been talking about it for
2 decades.
God knows how long. And it is kind of odd because you should have that advantage, and you should, I've always said that Kyle Field is not a hostile environment, but it's a good environment, and it can be loud. It's not like, Aggies are well behaved. They're loud, but they're not going to be throwing, bags of urine at you like if you're in Lubbock or someplace like that. They're not going to throw batteries or things like that, like if they might at Colorado or LSU. Right. But it's a loud environment, and the fans are going to make it as difficult as possible on the opponent, and yet it hasn't mattered.
I think it hasn't mattered. I'll tell you why, if I could throw that out there. Defense. Winning at home starts with defense. Winning on the road starts with defense. To me, it all starts with defense. A&M has one now with Elko.
Well,
I think that's where the turnaround's going to come. It's not just Jimbo. It's Elko and his defense. That's how you win at home. That's how you win on the road.
And using up both those points, I think the Clemson game, even though it's hard to tell from the press box, the crowd was into the whole game because A&M's offense and defense gave them a reason to be in the game. And I thought it was one of the more electric crowds since maybe going back to Nebraska when they had that 9-6 victory. I remember the crowd really played a part. And I think, with Jimbo coming in, all these factors, and now the crowd's so hungry. And I think I'm anxious tonight to see that crowd too against an unbeaten team. 6 o'clock kickoff should be electric, and that's the crowd you've got to use to your advantage. Make it worth 5 to 7 points.
I think you're definitely going to see that crowd. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to see a crowd that's going to be excited and ready to go and looking to see if A&M can finally, well, I shouldn't say finally, can get that rare home victory over a ranked opponent. And if if there was a different name attached to that ranked opponent, I think you would already have people going crazy. I think there are still those that are a little unfamiliar with the idea that it's Kentucky without realizing just that these guys are legitimately good.
Maybe if they kept putting this week, if all the electronic media would put Calipari's picture up every time Stoops talk, maybe people be madder, But you're right, and we all talked about that before. I still say it's Kentucky. Come on, it's Kentucky.
When we return, I guess we'll talk a little bit about it being Kentucky. We'll talk more Aggie football. We're just getting started on a game day. It is the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com.
Atkinson Toyota has been proudly serving Bryan College Station and surrounding communities for over 25 years. Whether you're out just looking or ready to make a purchase, our professional sales team believes in doing everything possible to ensure a pleasant experience. Our facility has the latest in state-of-the-art equipment with highly skilled professional technicians. Whether you're out planning to purchase a new or used vehicle, require financing, parts, or service, Atkinson Toyota is committed to providing the excellence and quality that is Toyota.
Fender benders, parking lot challenges, scrapes, bruises, and bumps. I'm vehicle challenged when it comes to avoiding objects that get in my way. Hi, I'm Mary Mike Hatcher for Oscar & Sons Body Shop. My car is my second office, and it's so important to keep it looking great. Oscar & Sons Body Shop has done just that. As a family affair for over 40 years, they remove cosmetic blemishes to major auto body repair. Google Oscar & Sons. They'll come to you with a free estimate for your repairs. Oscar & Sons Body Shop. They wreck it, we fix it.
Aggie football is here, and Texas A&M Transportation Services offers parking and shuttle options. Pay $20 and $25 cash to park near Bush Library, Bonfire Memorial off University, Northside Garage, or Agronomy Road. Ride free shuttles to campus lots, the downtown Bryan shuttle, or get to the grid shuttle from Momentum Plaza. For pre- and post-game traffic and parking info, or to purchase parking before the game, download the Destination Aggieland or Park Mobile app, or visit transport.tamu.edu/football. Follow them on Twitter at Get2AggieGame.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I improved my credit score.
You're kidding, right?
No.
How are we supposed to be the bad boys of electro-synth pop if you're out there being responsible? The band is about to be discovered. This is our year.
Yeah, you've been saying that for a while now.
You think anyone in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was worried about their credit score?
I never really thought that
Of course they weren't. Rock stars aren't supposed to think about that kind of stuff. We're supposed to think about how many guitars we've smashed, write aggressively sensitive power ballads, start questionable fashion trends, tragically break up and blame creative differences.
All right, I thought maybe it was time to take control of my finances, Start using a budget, get out of debt, set some goals.
A budget? Debt? Set some goals? Listen, I knew that we'd have our creative differences, but I was hoping they'd involve a little more scandal.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Whether the Aggies are on the road or at the friendly confines of Kyle Field, the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com, has got you covered. Home or away, rain or shine, things get underway 3 hours before kickoff on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM. The Zone Game Day Show is sponsored by Jerry Anderson Allstate Insurance, Peach Creek Vineyards, and Stephen Gustitis, attorney at law. It's the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
You can tell it's a big game and it's an exciting game, or even during the commercial breaks, Olin, Louie, and Cease here are debating the game. Even during the commercial timeouts, we're still talking about the game. It's a Zone Game Day Show. It's sponsored by TexAgs.com. Thank you so much for making this a part of your game day, your tailgate, driving around town. Well, if you're driving around town, you're not driving. You usually stopped at a red light. But whatever it is you're doing on game day, Saturday, we're talking Aggie football, Kentucky football. We're talking about the name on the jerseys, which is making it hard for some people to buy into that 13 ranking and 5-0. And I would say, giving the respect normally those two things are due. I'll start with you, Olin. Are you buying Kentucky?
I am buying Kentucky. They deserve the record. I mean, the ranking. They're 5-0. I don't know how good Florida is, but it's a 4-1 team, and you beat them. I don't know how good Mississippi State is, but they were supposed to be good this year. You beat them. South Carolina, the same thing. I know that they're not terrible, South Carolina. I don't know if they're good, but you beat them. So you give me a 5-0 team with 3 SEC victories. I think you have to go ahead and say, okay, these guys are legitimate. They've earned their ranking.
Cease. Are you buying Kentucky?
I'll buy them for a top 25 team. I'll buy them for top 15 if they beat A&M. I think this is a pivotal game for them when you look at their schedule with one ranked team left. Now, they do have a couple road games, and like I said before, anytime you go on the road in the SEC, but if they beat A&M, they're going to have so much confidence. As Olin said, you add another SEC win in a place where you're basically
on the road.
A touchdown underdog, then this becomes a 15-program team. This becomes maybe a 6-game, New Year's 6-day bowl game. But that's why I think this is a huge game for them. For me to buy them higher than, because I have them in my mind until they do something, the low 20s.
Here's my buy-in with Kentucky. I'll define exactly. They have beaten the 7- and 8-win teams handily. I'm buying them as a 9-win team. Define that as you want, but I buy them as a 9-win team.
I think if they beat
9-win team is top 25, and it's borderline top 15, isn't it?
I
At
think
9-3.
I think if Kentucky wins today,
they're 10-2, no worse.
I think they may be 11-1.
Yeah, they're 10-2, no worse.
I'm just going to take Georgia. But who? Missouri? You can take Missouri? I'm not going to take
Vandy. Missouri. But I'm just
Missouri
saying,
capable, but no, they wouldn't. Kentucky would be the favorite.
So big game for Kentucky, obviously.
A&M is favored, opened up, I guess 6.5, dropped down to 5.5. Some people have claimed they've seen 5. Last I saw 6. So we know the range of favorite. This is Vegas. We also know that doesn't mean who's favored to win. Vegas has a different mission in life. Why is A&M the favorite, Olin?
Okay, first of all, they're at home, so there you get that. Secondly, if A&M plays Kentucky's schedule and Kentucky plays A&M's schedule, the records are probably reversed. Kentucky has not shown the ability to be a consistently good passing team. So they're a team that relies so heavily on the run, and it's paid off for them. But they, quite frankly, I don't think they played the statistically would say it, a run defense as good as A&M. So I could see somebody in Vegas looking at it and say, hey, A&M's number 6 run defense in the country, and that's after playing Clemson and even Arkansas and Alabama. They're number 6. I don't think Kentucky's going to consistently run on them. And oh, by the way, they have a punter with a huge leg. So I'm thinking that Kentucky's often going to have to go a long field, make long drives, and they're probably going to look at several 3rd and 6s and 3rd and 5s and have to throw. And I don't know that they'll be consistently able to. Oh, by the way, A&M's the best passing team that Kentucky will have faced so far, because Jake Bentley was playing on one leg in the second half last week. Felipe Franks, who threw for about 200 yards, everybody knows he's not a passer.
Nick
Fitzgerald's
good.
Lost. So
he's lost within the offense. Good call.
Yeah, so I think that they're just looking at all those things and say, A&M at home, it's strength against strength, and if it's a stalemate in that strength against strength, then A&M may have the edge.
Yeah, when you look at A&M fighting a little bit of history here, not being able to win at home, depending on how you qualify a big victory. But I went back trying to look at A&M in this drought for them since they won the last conference championship. When you look at Kentucky in the same range, they've only won either 4 or 5 big games away from home. Beat Louisville a couple times, a rivalry game. But they're fighting history too. They just don't win these type of games. And I know this team's different. They won at the Swamp. But A&M at Kyle Field is a lot different than Florida right now in the Swamp. So once again I'll get back to, not totally buying into that Kentucky and all the things Olin said. A&M can screw up a lot of things, but when you got a punter that can hit the ball 50 yards at a time and the other team doesn't really have a lot of explosive plays in the passing game consistently, then you look at 100,000 people in in your corner as well. Can Kentucky continue to handle that pressure? Because they have, but each week they win. We saw this before, like when Kansas State had some of those teams. Every year, every game you win, that pressure is a little bit more on you, and I think Kentucky will feel a lot of pressure to them. If they win, more kudos to them, but I feel this will be the most pressure they felt all year long for a lot of reasons.
I want to do the oversimplification thing, stealing from my good friend Dave Bartu of the College Football Matrix. It's something now of hanging out with him for over a decade that I really buy into, and it's so simple, and it's TLC in every game, just 3 boxes, and there's no third down efficiency, run points per games. It's talent, location, coaching. It can work at about a 90% clip of who's going to win games. It's very simple. A&M has more talent. Look at the composite rankings. That's not even a conversation. The location, A&M's the home team. Okay, check, check. Third one, coaching. Jimbo and his staff are the better coaching staff. A&M actually gets the check mark in every single box for this game.
That, some could argue that. Are you going to say that a team is better because of what some guys in a room decided what stars you're going to put next to somebody? And we all know that sometimes, you get a Johnny Manziel or a Mike Evans who's a 3-star guy when he arrives, but he's a 5-star or 6-star player. And I don't know how many stars was attached.
But one of the beautiful things about a composite ranking is that they balance out over the course of the 4-year class. They really do. Attrition, the misevaluations, and the 3 stars that end up being 5 and the 5s that end up being 0s.
All I know is Kentucky has a good, solid physical offensive line, and A&M has that would, in past years, would have absolutely abused A&M because A&M was so soft against the run. But A&M, I believe that run defense is legitimate. And I think they're as physical, and they're going to be a physical match for Kentucky on the line of scrimmage.
I will agree with you, but when I can see what Mark Stoops has done, taking a lot of those, as you mentioned, 2- and 3-star recruit guys, and now you have 4th- and 5th-year guys in your program, he's coached them up to 4-star guys in A&M. As Olin said, when you look at Kentucky, I always look, do they have players at all levels in all areas? And I think Kentucky does.
They do.
And that's why I think A&M makes such an improvement, because they have, as Olin said, the D-line now looks like an SEC D-line. Their linebackers for years looked like they should be in 6A in Texas, not in the SEC, but now they have SEC linebackers as well.
Is this going to be the toughest test for the A&M run defense? We mentioned that they faced off against Alabama. They're a pass-first team.
They are now, yeah, which is interesting.
I mean, if you look at A&M's opponents so far, every one of them actually is a passing team. Even Clemson and Dabo, that wants to be power run, he had the Trevor Lawrence alternating series, and when he's in, they went pass-first too. This will be the first team I think they face that is a 100% run-committed team. Arkansas is not anymore. Brett Bielema's not there.
I don't know if I'm willing to say that this is the best or the greatest run test, because I think a big part of being tested with run is when you do have to worry about the other team's quarterback throwing more than you do maybe in this game, because in this game you probably feel like you can load up and play 8 or 9 in the box. I don't know if they will, but you probably feel like you can. Now, the fact of the matter is, I mean, look at what Travis Etienne of Clemson has done since the A&M game. He had 44 yards rushing since the A&M game. Been over 100 every game since, and went over. I mean, in the game, 100 over 100 ever since. Had 206 last week. I think you can look at Kentucky and say maybe they're the most power-oriented run game, kind of like Arkansas used to be.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I call it 100% committed. They're going to run till the score makes them not.
I think I'm with you, and the fact is they're going to focus solely on the running game. I think the thing about Alabama, when you have 2, why go ahead and run it into a 7-8-man line when your best player is, skill-wise is the quarterback, let him throw the ball, whereas that's not the case as Kentucky. Kentucky's just going to keep hammering it in there. So I'm interested to see how many yards Kentucky does rush for today against A&M.
When we return on the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com, it's time. We're not going to talk Kentucky. Earlier this week, I visited with John Hale. He's with the Courier-Journal. We had a phenomenal conversation. You will learn everything and anything you know Yes?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Wildcat football. Trust me, by the time we get done visiting with John, everything you're going to need to know, Wildcats, to get ready for tonight's game. This is the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone, brought to you by the folks at Circle X Country Store. College Station ISD is accepting applications to be a part of its annual Leadership CSISD program. For more information or to apply, go to csisd.org by Monday. The Salvation Army will begin its Angel Tree program next week from 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at its Bryan location, with the accepting of applications and interviewing families. The program is open to families with children up to 12 years old. The Navasota Theater Alliance's comedy A Southern Fried Murder is now playing at the theater in Navasota. Find showtimes and purchase tickets at navasotatheater.org. You can now subscribe to podcasts of TexAgs Radio and The Louie Bellina Show at Google Play or Apple Podcasts. Community Calendar is brought to you by Circle X Country Store. Lose yourself in a wonderful mix of one-of-a-kind gifts, the latest in ladies' clothing and accessories, plus cinch for men. Exit off Highway 6 North, 1415 OSR East.
Be good to your vehicle, and it'll be good to you. Hi, I'm Gabriel Garcia from Traditions Mobile One Oil and Lube. And while that's a simple concept, it's so true. We're a full-service oil and lube shop with years of experience. And that experience tells us to always go the extra mile for our customers. Like topping off fluids for free on most vehicles and free tire pressure checks.
See Traditions Mobile One Oil and Lube on Villa Maria at 2818 next to Raleigh Car Wash, or at East William J. Bryan next to the main post office.
We are Symetria Recovery,
the one outpatient treatment network that focuses on one thing:
crushing opioid addiction.
With one treatment team.
Counselors, doctors, nurses, psychiatrists.
One proven method, the Symetria method.
With a success rate 4 times the industry average.
Call 844-847-6999.
That's 844-847-6999.
Hey, opioid addiction, we've got your number.
For nearly 2 decades, TexAgs has been the #1 Aggie community online. And thanks to that community, we've been able to grow into so much more. TexAgs is now an industry-leading media company that covers Aggie football, basketball, baseball, and recruiting like nobody else. Our staff of over 30 consistently delivers in-depth analysis, X's and O's breakdowns, award-winning video content, and the most reliable inside information you can find. So if you love the Ags, come check us out at TexAgs.com and become a premium subscriber. TexAgs.com/subscribe.
Atkinson Toyota has been proudly serving Bryan College Station and surrounding communities for over 25 years. Whether you're out just looking or ready to make a purchase, our professional sales team believes in doing everything possible to ensure a pleasant experience. Our facility has the latest in state-of-the-art equipment with highly skilled professional technicians. Whether you're out planning to purchase a new or used vehicle, require financing, parts, or service, Atkinson Toyota is committed to providing the excellence and quality that is Toyota.
It's important to buckle up your kids.
I know.
Sometimes car seats can be complicated.
I know.
And if your child's in the wrong seat and you get into a crash,
I know.
it could lead to a serious injury.
I know.
So you're 100% sure you have the right car seat for your child's age and size?
I don't know.
Don't think you know. Know you know. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Make sure you have the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's fall in the Brazos Valley, which means the boys are back. And no, not just the ones on the field. 30 minutes after every Aggie home game, Louie and Dusty are live for the Zone Collins Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com. The Zone Collins Show is sponsored by Gage Gandy Bell Bonds, Oscar & Sons Body Shop, and Peach Creek Vineyards. The 2 most understanding guys in Aggieland, it's Louie and Dusty on the Zone Collins Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com, and it's on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
A part of each and every Zone Game Day show, sponsored by TexAgs.com, is not just A&M, which of course we love our maroon and white, but it's getting you ready for A&M's opponent. And today they're squaring off against Kentucky, but you know that already. 6 o'clock, Kyle Field. That's a game you will be listening to right here on Sports Radio 1150. Not the Zone 102.7 FM. We're going to have the Spanish language broadcast of Aggie football on the Zone 102.7 FM. So you will hear Aggie football here on Sports Radio 1150. Now, earlier this week, I had the chance to visit with John Hale of the Courier-Journal, and this is all things Kentucky Wildcat football.
John, who knew the secret to Kentucky football was just break the curse over Florida and unleash the beast?
Yeah, it's interesting. Certainly seems like that was kind of the step that finally got this thing over the apex, peaked in the right direction. I mean, Mark Stoops has been very methodical about his rebuild since he got here in 2013, and maybe it didn't go as quickly as some fans would have liked, or certainly wasn't reflected in the win-loss column as drastically as you might imagine. I think he went 2 wins, 5 wins, 5 wins, 7-7. So that's basically kind of reached the same point Rich Brooks had the program at 10 years ago. Rich Brooks also started 5-0 in 2007. He lost his 6th game, but then beat number 1 LSU. Number 8 in the country. College Game Day came to Lexington that next week against Florida. And then they lost 4 of the last 5 games to end the season, and it basically ended in the same spot they were the year before and the year after. So I think there's still some questions about whether this team can stay and has the staying power that maybe that team didn't. But they look very different than almost every Kentucky team. They beat Florida, which you mentioned they had not done in 31 years in a row. They're 3-0 in the SEC for the first time since 1977. They've beaten 2 ranked teams at the time they were playing them. So all signs are positive. I think it's getting harder by the week to doubt that this Kentucky team's not for real.
What have been the surprises? What has went right, not expected, and let's go since August, since the season started, the things that have propelled them to 5-0. We knew Snell was going to be good. That's not a surprise. What were the unexpected turn of events?
Yeah, you're right on there. We knew what Benny was, so that was the one thing you could really expect. You knew what the offensive line was. The 2 big questions for me going into the season were what happens at quarterback. They had no quarterback on the roster that had ever played in the Division I game before, so that was a huge question mark. And while Terry Wilson has not been perfect by any means, he did kind of help them very drastically win that game at Florida with a very good performance. He's done just enough with his legs and his arm to keep defenses honest and made plays when maybe pressure was coming. He has a little bit of a turnover problem, but he's fixed that a little bit the last 2 or 3 weeks, so there's progress in that department. So quarterback has checked off more than I think we expected. And then the huge progress is the defensive side. They had 9 of 11 starters back on defense. So on paper, you think, okay, this is a unit that can make some progress, can be the best defense that Mark Stoops has had at Kentucky by any means. But you also had that doubt. Well, is it really good to have 9 of 11 starters back when all those starters were on the unit last year that gave up 300 rushing yards in each of their last 3 games? That was, I think, a legitimate doubt going into the year, and even Mark Stoops has said that group, especially the defensive line, needed to prove themselves, and they've done it week after week after week. They've got a first-round draft prospect in Josh Allen, who started very strong last year and faded down the end of the stretch. He looks like a completely different player. They've got veterans like Mike Edwards in the secondary, Jordan Jones at linebacker, who are playing like future NFL players, guys who might get drafted, might get a spot in the camp. So there's a lot of talent, a lot of depth on that defense, more so than I think we've seen at Kentucky in a long, long time, and definitely more than we thought going into the year.
You know, SEC football is football the way God intended. Line of scrimmage league, line of scrimmage game. You can't go more 101 than that. I've seen Kentucky 2.5 games this year. For me, the outsider, line of scrimmage. D-line, O-line, both play at SEC level. I don't know if I've ever said that before.
Yeah, the offensive line has been very good the last couple of years as they've kind of transitioned to this run-first offense. That side of the ball, I think, had answered a lot of questions. The defensive line, though, has been frankly terrible for most of the modern Kentucky football history, but especially the last 2 years. And it got even more concerning in preseason when Josh Pascal, who was supposed to be their best pass rusher in terms of the defensive lineman, who they moved to defensive end specifically to get him on the field, was diagnosed with a malignant melanoma in August, I think, and has not played at all this season as he usually undergoes treatments and recovers from the surgery to remove the skin lesion on his foot. So you thought, oh, wow, that your best defensive lineman from a group that wasn't great before that, you lose him. That's a pretty concerning mark. But they basically played 7 or 8 guys on the defensive line in every game. None of them have great stats, but they're all very workmanlike. as a unit. They've played much better, and they've controlled the line of scrimmage for most of their first 5 games, which is, like you said, something you cannot say about Kentucky football very often.
They're active, they're strong, they just make plays. John, I'd like to do scouting report. I'll throw out a name. You tell me, 5 games in, season having secret success. And let's just start with Josh Allen. I mean, the 6 sacks. He goes into this beast mode, and here at A&M, we've seen Von Miller, we've seen Myles Garrett, we've seen these guys that just take over a game. They just go someplace that no one else can go to.
Yeah, he's been that guy for the last 2 weeks, especially against Mississippi State. I think he only had actually 1 sack, yet another tackle for loss. But he was getting held almost every play. He was forcing bad throws, whether they were turnovers or not. He was getting penalties drawn against him. They just couldn't block him, and it was a problem all night. And then against South Carolina, those hurries and pressures translated into sacks. He had 3 sacks, career high. He's a guy who was very good in the first half last year. He was on a lot of midseason All-American teams. That was being mentioned as a possible first-round prospect at that point. His body was not the same as it is though this year. I think he's added like 30 pounds of muscle, something like that, around that size. He got a new position coach in Brad White, who was the outside linebackers coach for the Colts the last 3 or 4 years. That has certainly helped, and he looks like a completely different player and someone who's definitely built more to sustain this and build on what he's done the last 2 weeks going into the second half, as opposed to maybe falling off a little bit when teams start paying him more attention.
What did he do? Add 30 pounds of muscle and still gain half a step of speed with it?
Yeah, he's always been an athletic, fast guy. I mean, he played wide receiver in high school a little bit. Led New Jersey in sacks as a senior in high school. Was a 2-star recruit who was going to go to Monmouth before Kentucky lost, I think, 6 or 7 guys in the last 2 weeks of signing day in his class, and got a tip late, went up there and saw him, signed him as an athlete, as a project, and obviously that has paid off in a very significant way.
Jamar Watson, scouting report, please.
Yeah, he's a guy who he was frequently last year in that group that coaches mentioned as being one of their best 11, but they didn't really have a position for him, so he kind of bounced back and forth between inside linebacker, outside linebacker, filled in at a little bit of both when they had injuries at various spots. Denzel Ware, who was kind of Josh Allen's partner in the Blitz brothers, as they call themselves, at that other outside linebacker position, transferred to Jacksonville State in the spring, and that really opened a spot for Boogie Watson. And while Ware was a guy who had been very productive, was a veteran, had started for basically 3 years, was going to be a senior, so that's a big loss. But when you talk to people around the program, they were pretty, quietly confident that Boogie Watson was going to be able to do that and maybe even surpass some of that production. It was a slow start to the year for him, but certainly the last couple of weeks, especially as defenses or offenses have had pay more attention to Josh Allen, that's freed some things up for Watson on the other side. He's pretty good in coverage. They like him in terms of outside linebacker in some of those matchups, but his pass rush has come around too.
We are visiting with John Hale of the Courier-Journal, all things Kentucky football here on the Louis Bellina Show. I am live inside the Doggett Auto Parts studio. It's warm. I like it in here. How about Darius West?
He's a guy, he's a really interesting story. Darius actually broke his leg once in high school, broke it again, I think, his senior year, broke it when he got to Kentucky. So he's broken the same like 3 times. So at one point very early in his career, there was a real legitimate question if Darius West was ever going to be healthy enough to play football for Kentucky. He finally got healthy. He's a guy who could probably get a 6th year if he wanted it, but I assume he's going to go to the NFL after this season. Has really stepped up in terms of his coverage. He's always had this kind of reputation as a hard hitter, that kind of prototypical safety who lays the lumber down or whatever, but he's got multiple interceptions. He's made huge plays at key moments for this team. And because of his resiliency coming back from those injuries, I think he means a lot to that defense.
Cash Daniel, am I reading this correct? Tied for the team leading tackles, but missing the first half of the A&M game?
Yeah, Cash is that's going to be, I think, one of the real storylines to watch for Kentucky this week. He's a guy is from a tiny town in eastern Kentucky. Actually, it's the same high school or the same town as Cash and I are from the same place. He was a Tue high school football in eastern Kentucky is not what you think when you produce SEC football players, but he was a very good recruit. He's a 4-star kid. He was a U.S. Army All-American, got offers from South Carolina. Steve Spurrier was really on that radar for Kentucky. As a hometown kid, has a very energetic personality. He's basically a fan favorite because of his roots, and also he's the best interview in the world. He does viral videos all the time. he's been the heart of the defense, but he struggled the last 2 years making an impact. It was maybe a step slow for the SEC. His lateral quickness was not very good. Put in the work in the offseason to replace Courtney Love when they lost their former starting middle linebacker, and has basically been an upgrade. That's one of those two spots, Watson and Daniel, who were the two of the 11 defensive positions who did not have their starter returning. And I think you could argue at both spots they've actually upgraded over what they had last year. But without Daniel on Saturday, they're going to have to turn to a true freshman in Chris Oates, a redshirt freshman in Jamin Davis. Those are both pretty highly touted recruits by Kentucky standards, but playing at Kyle Field in that position, it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle that.
Let us go to the offensive side of the ball. Let us begin with the beginning, and he may be the end. Benny Snell, Jr.
Yeah, Benny made headlines this summer at SEC Media Days when he said he was the best running back in the SEC, and people kind of laughed at that and shook their head and say that's not Kentucky. But nothing that Benny has done so far has done anything but prove that he was frankly right. I mean, he leads the league in rushing. There are other very good running backs in the SEC. Obviously, Texas A&M has one themselves, but Benny has been as productive as anyone. He's got the career touchdown records for Kentucky, broke that a couple of weeks ago, now has 40 touchdowns in his career, on pace to become Kentucky's all-time leading rusher this year in just 3 seasons, set the rushing touchdowns record last year, has the single-game rushing touchdowns record twice. He's going to end his career at Kentucky with just about every rushing record. He's a great personality. He's very charismatic. He's a fan favorite, and he loves to run. He loves to run through people. He's a guy who plays with a chip on his shoulder. And growing up in Columbus area, not getting that Ohio State offer, kind of started this motivation for Benny, and he just feeds on doubts, and it's becoming harder and harder to doubt him every week, though.
Terry Wilson, quarterback. Is he a quarterback? I say that, John, I'll tell you why. If you can't complete a pass to an open receiver within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage 9.5 times out of 10, I don't think you're a quarterback. It's a standing definition I've had my whole life.
Yeah, I think he's still in work in progress as a passer, but he's shown some significant improvements there. He's got a very good arm, especially on his deep ball. He's an upgrade in terms of that 10-yard pass over what they've had the last 2 years. Stephen Johnson, who was a great leader, had great intangibles, but was just frankly not a very good passer. I think Terry's progress there, but the good news with Benny and the offensive line, they don't ask him to do too much. He was the number 1 junior college quarterback recruit in the country, according to ESPN. Another guy Kentucky got late after they lost a flip, Jaron Williams, to Miami. He's exceeded expectations, I think. Can hit the passes he has so far. Accuracy is occasionally an issue. Decision-making is occasionally an issue. But his legs are the real equalizer, and he can elude pressure, turn lost negative yard plays into positive gains, first downs, which is something that's really important for this offense.
I've been asking about individual players. We mentioned briefly earlier, but that O-line, SEC level, SEC style, and you said for years now.
Yeah, it's 2 years ago, so Benny Snell's freshman year, they had 2,000-yard rushers, Benny Snell and Boom Williams, who kind of made a mistake by leaving for the draft a year early. They were the finalists that year for whatever the name of the team award is for best offensive line in the country. So they were pretty good that season. Last year, they lost their starting center. Took them probably 5 or 6 games to figure things out. They moved some people around, found a new center, Drake Jackson, who was another former U.S. Army All-American from Kentucky, very close to Lexington. And since that point, they've really not missed a beat, and they've been obviously paved the way for Benny. He does pretty much every stop. He credits his offensive line for his success before he even talks about himself, so that's really important. But they're veterans. They lost the only 5-star recruit Kentucky has ever signed since rivals started rating recruits in 2003 or whatever, Landon Young, their left tackle, to a torn ACL before the season. The 2 guys who have filled in there, E.J. Price and Nasir Watkins, have held their own. Nasir Watkins got hurt last week, so now they're down to their 3rd option at left tackle. The backup is another true freshman. That's another spot to watch this week for against Texas A&M in terms of they try to fill some gaps there.
You know, there's a big X factor, it factor in this game, and Kentucky has it. You can't measure belief, something Kentucky football's been striving for. You can't measure momentum. No doubt they have it 5-0, ranked 13th. On the flip side of that coin, though, sometimes it's hard to be the hunted when you've never been there, and sometimes there's pressure that comes with having that 13 ranking when you're not used to having that.
Yeah, I think that's 100% true. I think we saw that a little bit last week in the South Carolina game. Mark Stoops said the week leading up to that, one of the strengths of this team has been that they have practiced very well every day. They have done their work during the week to get the results on Saturday. And maybe for the first time leading into last week when they were in the top 25, they had done those things. He needed to poke them a little bit to get them going that week. There were some other things going on campus that they had to deal with that added to their time constraints. But the football part of it, maybe we saw a little bit. They started very strong in that game. They had a chance basically in the third quarter if they kick a field goal and convert it, if they score on the next drive, but that could have turned into a blowout really quickly. But it didn't. They stagnated a little bit in the second half. The offense didn't move the ball very well. Defense still did its part, and it ended up being, a 14-point game or whatever. But that was a game where I think maybe we saw a little bit of that concern. I do think this week at A&M, because they're still, technically the underdog, because so many people had kind of put this game before the season that, okay, that's a definite loss category, they can still use a little bit of that chip on their shoulder, even though they're the ranked team and A&M isn't or whatever. But it's going to, week by week, if they were to win this weekend, at that point it would be hard with the rest of their schedule other than Georgia to come up with a game where they wouldn't be the hunted anymore.
John, that was microphone. I grabbed Cease's. That was outstanding. That's classic radio. I grabbed the wrong headset there, and I'm talking to myself. That was my chat with John Hale earlier this week of the Courier-Journal, and now you know, trust me, everything you need to know Kentucky football. When we come back, we'll wrap up hour number 1. This is the Zone Game Day Show. That was fun. Sponsored by TexAgs.com.
For nearly 2 decades, TexAgs has been the #1 Aggie community online. And thanks to that community, we've been able to grow into so much more. TexAgs is now an industry-leading media company that covers Aggie football, basketball, baseball, and recruiting like nobody else. Our staff of over 30 consistently delivers in-depth analysis, X's and O's breakdowns, award-winning video content, and the most reliable inside information you can find. So if you love the Ags, come check us out at TexAgs.com and become a premium subscriber. TexAgs.com/subscribe.
Mayhem is everywhere.
I'm a left-hand turn signal. Tink, tink, tink. The guy in front of you had me on for the last 14 miles. And since you're stuck in traffic, you can just sit back and wait. You gonna try to pass on the left? Didn't you see my signal? And if you've got cut rate insurance, things could really take a turn for the worse. So get Allstate.
Call Class of 82 BCS Allstate agent Jerry Anderson at 764-0015. Subject to terms, conditions, availability, and coverage selected. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company.
Aggie football is here, and Texas A&M Transportation Services offers parking and shuttle options. Pay $20 and $25 cash to park near Bush Library, Bonfire Memorial off University, Northside Garage, or Agronomy Road. Ride free shuttles to campus lots, the downtown Bryan shuttle, or get to the Grid shuttle from Momentum Plaza. For pre- and post-game traffic and parking info, or to purchase parking before the game, download the Destination Aggieland or Park mobile app, or visit transport.tamu.edu/football. Follow us on Twitter at @GetToAggieGame.
Catch the Liucci Hour every Tuesday and Thursday from noon till 1, where we expect to see you at the tap to get your Aggie football fix with Ryan Brauninger, TexAg's lead recruiting analyst, and Billy Liucci himself. Get Aggie previews, reviews, and recruiting info, plus a special in-restaurant-only pick'em contest. And enjoy lunch specials, which always include a side and a drink. If you can't make it in person, watch the Liucci Hour live on Facebook and YouTube. The Liucci Hour every Tuesday and Thursday at the tap from noon till 1.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish that!
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Your home for Fighting Texas Aggie football this season is on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM. Don't miss 1 second of the action with Andrew Monaco and Dave Elmendorf on the call as the Aggies take on the best of the best in college football. Texas A&M football on the Zone is brought to you by Oscar & Sons Body Shop, Stephen Gustitis, attorney at law, Symmetry Recovery, and Tradition Mobile One Oil and Lube. Your home for Fighting Texas Aggie football this season is on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
We are back on the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com. We would be me. I am Louis Bellina of the Louis Bellina Show. I really don't do anything else. Along with Olin Buchanan, TexAgs.com, TexAgs Radio, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. He's a part of, I think, sometimes I'm not really sure if he's there, of the Go Hour, along with Gabe Bach.
Sometimes I wonder if I'm there.
Man, most of us do. I don't even know if you're here half the time. Olin Buchanan, along with Robert Cessna. He is the 40-plus years, long time, the Eagle sports editor. Guys, we got about 2-3 minutes left. So we're going to talk Mon when we return after CBS Sports Flash. We'll leave that behind. How big of a loss is Osborne? We know he's out minimum of 3 weeks. How big of a hit is it to the wide receiving corps?
It's big. I don't think it's huge because he has not been producing. He's dropped some passes lately. But I think he's a guy that has the ability to do some great things. So you want him out on the field because, he's a threat. But if you look Hezekiah Jones in a little bit more than a half last week had more catches in that, about a little more than a half, than Jamon had in the last 2 games combined.
The silver lining was Mon brought out that Osborne had ankle and shoulder banged up a little bit, so he'd been playing hurt all fall. So maybe that explains. He did have a lot of drops, so maybe having healthy receivers in there and giving a few weeks for Osborne to get 100% healthy. This is a very deep wide receiver core, so that might help.
It may be, if not bigger, at least the same impact is the loss of his blocking ability downfield, because he's a good downfield blocker in the secondary. But if you look at what you think Jamon Osborne is, it's a huge loss. If you look at what he's actually been, it's still a significant, but I don't think it's an enormous thing. And, oh, by the way, you have guys that could step in and can produce. They haven't done it consistently, but they have the ability. They're capable. Kendrick Rogers is capable. Courtney Davis is capable because of what they did against Clemson. Hezekiah Jones is capable because he came out and played well.
I simply everything. A lot of talent in the wide receiving core. We've seen players are capable. There's even more who with more opportunity I think can step up. You want Osborne, obviously, because what he's done and the potential of what he can do, but I don't feel like the loss is a deal-breaker, game-changer, game-breaker for you because of how much depth there is in the wide receiving core. When we return, we got an hour to go. Yes, we'll talk about Mon. We'll talk about A&M Kentucky. We'll talk about everything. You're listening to the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com.
This is a radio spot for parents of children needing braces. Kids, tune out. Not that you're listening anyway. It's that time. Orthodontics. So you ask your friends. They say Dr. Elms. You ask your coworkers. They say Dr. Elms because he also has a free shuttle. You ask your kids. They don't say anything, of course. But you say, do you want butter with that roll? So there you go. Dr. Elms. Next thing you know, college. And their teeth will look great.
DrElms.com.
Your home for Texas A&M football. Every game, every win. Is Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM. This is KZNE, KNDE HD3 and K274CM College Station Bryan.
CBS Sports Radio.
Sports Flash.
I'm Larry Ridley. Week 6 of the college football season. Let's start it off here in the top 25. Got some games currently in progress. And it's number 4, Clemson, leading Wake Forest, shutting out the Demon Deacons 21-0. Travis Etienne, 2 rushing TDs for the Tigers. Down in Gainesville in the Swamp, and number 22, Florida, just scored. They currently lead LSU, who's 5th in the country, 13-10 in the second quarter at the Swamp, pending the extra point. Down south a little bit further from Gainesville in Miami, number 17, Miami and Florida State, they're tied at 7 also in the second quarter. In the Big 12, it's Iowa State, a 2-point advantage over 25th-ranked Oklahoma State. Cyclones leading at 23-21. In the Horseshoe in Columbus in the Big 10, 3rd-ranked Ohio State, the Bucks leading Indiana 14-3 in the second. Also in the second, out in Colorado and Boulder, number 21 Colorado tied with Arizona State 7-7. Earlier finals, number 1 Alabama beat up on Arkansas in Fayetteville 61-35. Tua Tagovailoa 4 TD passes for the Tide. The big one, the Red River Shootout. Number 19 Texas hang on to beat number 7 Oklahoma 48-45. High-scoring Red River Shootout ever, the 93 combined points. Cameron Dicker, the game-winning field goal with 9 seconds left after OU scored 21 straight points to tie the game. Sam Ellinger, 5 total TDs for the Horns. Kyler Murray, 5 combined TDs for Boomer. 9th-ranked West Virginia, too much for Kansas, 38-22. Will Greer, 4 TD passes. Number 15, Michigan doubles up Maryland, 42-21. Had an hour and 15-minute delay because of lightning in Ann Arbor. And it was an upset in East Lansing.
3rd and inches. Thorson under center. Sneaking for it. Pushing the pile to the goal line. And where is the ball? It's got to be at least a first down. Touchdown! It is. Touchdown Northwestern. Clayton Thorson. A 1-yard quarterback sneak. And the Wildcats appear to have salted this one away with 2:51 remaining.
Dave Enid from Learfield, Northwestern beats Michigan State 29-19. Wildcats QB Clayton Thorson, 3 TD passes, 1 rushing. 23rd ranked NC State holds off Boston College 28-23. Major League Baseball playoffs, ALDS, pair of game 2s today. Currently in Houston, Astros and Indians are scoreless. Houston leading that series 1-0. Yankees at Red Sox tonight at Fenway, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Boston leading 1-0. I'm Larry Ridley.
Fender benders, parking lot challenges, scrapes, bruises, and bumps. I'm vehicle challenged when it comes to avoiding objects that get in my way. Hi, I'm Mary Mike Hatcher for Oscar & Sons Body Shop. My car is my second office, and it's so important to keep it looking great. Oscar & Sons Body Shop has done just that. As a family affair for over 40 years, they remove cosmetic blemishes to major auto body repair. Google Oscar & Sons. They'll come to you with a free estimate for your repairs. Oscar & Sons Body Shop. They wreck it, we fix it.
Uncork and unwind at Peach Creek Vineyards, a unique Texas vineyard and winery located right here in College Station. Enjoy local wines as you experience the tranquility and peace of Texas country charm found at Peach Creek Vineyards. Sip with friends in the tasting room or under the pavilion overlooking the vineyards and ponds. Open Tuesday through Friday, 3 to 6, Saturday from noon to 6, and Sundays by appointment. Learn more at peachcreekvineyards.com and find Peach Creek Vineyards on Facebook for upcoming events.
For nearly 2 decades, TexAgs has been the #1 Aggie community online. And thanks to that community, we've been able to grow into so much more. TexAgs is now an industry-leading media company that covers Aggie football, basketball, baseball, and recruiting like nobody else. Our staff of over 30 consistently delivers in-depth analysis, X's and O's breakdowns, award-winning video content, and the most reliable inside information you can find. So if you love the Ags, come check us out at texags.com and become a premium subscriber. texags.com/subscribe.
Everyone makes mistakes. Mistakes can land you on the wrong side of the law. If so, you need someone on your side. Steve Gustitis, attorney at law, has over 20 years' experience fighting felony and misdemeanor charges. Steve Gustitis will fight for you. Call now to set up your free consultation, 823-9111. Qualified people are ready to take your call. Call 823-9111 or visit GustitisLaw.com to see how Steve Gustitis can put the law on your side.
Chris, you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Am too.
There's your comic book collection, the race car bed.
I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I'm taking control over my financial life, and that feels pretty grown-up to me.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org. Are those footy pajamas?
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Whether the Aggies are on the road or at the friendly confines of Kyle Field, the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com, has got you covered. Home or away, rain or shine, things get underway 3 hours before kickoff on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM. The Zone Game Day Show is sponsored by Elms Orthodontics, Gage Gandy Bell Bonds, and Oscar & Sons Body Shop. It's the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
Welcome back on the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com. Louis Bellina, along with Olin Buchanan, along with Robert Cessna, representing the internet universe, the newspaper, and the radio. That's always been the plan here on the Zone Game Day Show. Home or road, we get you ready. When they're on the road, you got Dusty and Rich and Bryce. They ramble on like we ramble on for 2 hours getting you ready. So when A&M's at South Carolina, that'll be Rich, Dusty, Bryce. When A&M is at Auburn, at Mississippi State, Dusty, Rich, Bryce. But for now, for one more hour, less than, to be honest with you, Olin Buchanan of TexAgs.com, Robert Cessna of the Eagle. I'm Louis Bellina of the Zone. Want to say a quick thank you to Outback. They were catering the Bryan Broadcasting hospitality tent today, and we were lucky enough to get one of the sandwiches, a little cheese, onions, coleslaw. Very tasty, very delicious. So a big thank you to Outback, who was, again, the official caterer of the Bryan Broadcasting hospitality tent. Thank you. I was hungry. It was very good. Guys, first hour we talked Kentucky, what the game meant, defending the home field, the injury to Osmond. It is time, I think, to talk about the most talked about thing talked about this week. A lot of talking. And Kellen Mond. Arkansas was a bad game for him. A regression game has been said this week. I really wanted to get kind of your opinion of the game he did have and the state of Kellen Mond after 5 games. We will begin with you, Olin.
I think he's still a solid quarterback and improving. I think you'll find sophomore quarterbacks, and let's understand. I don't know what.
Bring the mic to your mouth.
Let's understand that. He's
you don't have to hold it.
He's still a very inexperienced guy, and he went out and he struggled, and sometimes you're going to struggle, but yet there in the fourth quarter when he had to make some plays. He had that big pass to Cameron Buckley to get the ball down to the 4 and led to the game-winning touchdown. So, I think Kellen really, he made some obvious mistakes. The first interception was just probably as poorly thrown ball as he's thrown all year. And I think Kellen needs to find this balance of understanding when it's the right time to hold the ball and see if a receiver can break open and deliver it to him, and understanding when to just take off and run.
Or just chunk it out of bounds, by the way. Could I throw that as an option?
But the thing about, Kellen, as we saw against Alabama, and we've seen it before, we saw it last year against Arkansas, he is a running threat, and he can be a big play guy with his legs. I don't want to take that away from him. I don't want him to take that away from himself. Of course you want to look for the pass first, but you got to be able to also identify when there's an opportunity there and take it, because if nothing else, that will eventually make the defense spying, which will take an extra guy out of coverage.
Correct.
Yeah, I thought he took a little bit of aggression starting with the Alabama game because I thought maybe there was too many runs for him, so he's looking a little bit maybe more to run than throw. Then you get back to Arkansas, and I give Chavis a little credit because they're able to do a lot of pressure with the front 4 and sometimes bring a blitzer. And I think he just made some bad reads, then it kind of snowballed. They had the 17-0 lead, and, once again, I think the whole team maybe relaxed a little bit, but it all goes back to the quarterback. In Jimbo's team, so much is on the quarterback, so he's got to share responsibility. And I'm with Olin, so now he's started, 11 games, and no benefit of a red shirt, so that was just a hiccup. I look for Mond to get back a little bit more what we saw the first 3 games from him this week.
Yeah, I can give a young guy, I can even expect him to have an off performance, especially when your offensive line's not having a great day either. But and I don't think you overreact to one game. But if he comes out and struggles again today, then you think you might have something to be worried about.
Are you buying into the conversation that Kellen Mond throws better on the run than the pocket?
I've seen him make some really nice throws out of the pocket. It comes that Clemson game.
Clemson game. I was just going to say that he threw some great balls out of the pocket. Some great balls. I didn't think he could throw those.
I'm not ready. I don't think I'm wanting to say that right now. I think the first 3 games he made great decisions. He panicked a little bit early against Alabama. His second interception I don't put on him. In fact, I thought it was a pretty nice throw against Alabama. Like I said, the first interception against Arkansas, I thought it was the worst pass he's thrown all year. And then the second one was just a huge, just terrible decision.
Telegraphed it to Sternberger.
Plus, you got to understand that you're in field goal range, and if something doesn't look like it's there, just throw it away and see if your kicker can give you some points.
But I agree 100% with Olin. You expect that out of a young quarterback, particularly as complex, evidently, as Jimbo Fisher's offense is. So you got to give him a little bit of growing room. Maybe, he was so good in the first 3 games, maybe we all got a little bit spoiled, like, wow, this guy, just the light goes on. So, no, he's going to have a few hiccups here and there. But I agree with Olin. He needs to put that behind because I think quarterback play is going to play a huge role in today's ballgame.
Yeah, we don't want to – we got to wait and see if he's going to be like a revision of Kenny Hill in 2014.
Oh, wow.
That started so fast. And then he started to struggle. Of course, that year, then the whole team struggled and everybody put it on Kenny. I think this team is better. The team around Kellen is better than that team that was around Kenny. Yeah.
I'm trying to process that. Kenny Hill had a much better offensive line.
Was it? Because when Kenny Hill was playing, they had some guys that had good names, but I don't know how well they actually performed.
That's interesting.
I have to go back and look.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't remember that.
Overall.
I know, boy, he was still around.
You know what? Let's not sidetrack her. So I'll think about that. You're going to have me thinking all weekend. I'll go back and look at that.
Didn't have a tight end. Has better running back now than he had then. Those kind of things. So, but anyway, I think we keep an open mind.
Better offensive coordinator.
You don't want to overreact to one game where he struggled.
But now C said he also thought Alabama was a bit of a regression game too.
I thought so, a little bit of his decision-making, but that's just me looking at it from the outside looking in.
First of all, let's understand.
Alabama's going to make everyone struggle.
You have the hangover playing Alabama.
And yes, that first.
And I do feel like Kellen's going back to moving slow again in the offense, which is the decision-making.
Yeah, the first interception, absolutely. He was under duress. He thought he saw a guy open.
You're talking about Alabama again? That was also a great catch by the defender.
It was.
That was a great catch.
But after that, he takes his team on a 99-yard drive. He leads them to a couple scores. He did miss Jamon wide open once, but what quarterback can say he hasn't missed guys before? And quite frankly, again, the interception, the second interception, if his receiver helps him out just a little bit, at the worst, it's an incompletion. And then Alabama scores and scores again. The next thing you know, you're down 31-13 at the half, or 31-16 or whatever it was at the half, and Alabama's smelling blood in the water. And what quarterback is going to – you tell me the quarterback that's going to excel in that situation.
So Kellen Mond, where does he go from here? Where's your confidence factor in him? And to what level? What is the expectation of how good or great is he going to be? I'm also, with him, been wondering, okay, so he comes out this year. They have tape on him now. And there's a chess match within a chess match. Now if they see how good he's come or how far he's come from last year, they have more tape. They're going to adjust him. He's going to have to learn more and adjust to the adjustments even on him. Well, there's a lot of processing going on.
Sure there is. They're learning more about him, but he's learning more about playing the position at this and that offense. And I think that what's could be expected from him is that's fair, is to throw from anywhere between 200 to 300 yards. Keep your interceptions to a minimal. Everybody throws them here and there, and be able to run for anywhere between 30 to 60, something like that, because he has that ability, and you should use it.
I don't care what we say. I think nobody's more critic of him going to be than Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher wants perfection from his quarterbacks. We can see that. So if Jimbo Fisher has him in there, I think Aggies can be comfortable. That's the guy who's going to make it go, and he's got to make the right decisions.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. There's a lot more to talk about. A&M, Kentucky. We'll start getting into the matchups, actually, between A&M and Kentucky. You're listening to the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com.
Gage Gandy Bail Bonds. Streets. We put your feet back on the streets. Now serving Grimes County. Fast professional service with the best rates in town. Gage Gandy Bail Bonds, open 24/7. Call 979-821-BOND. That's 979-821-BOND. Gage Gandy Bail Bonds is Aggie owned and operated, class of 95. Serving the Brazos Valley for over 20 years and now serving Grimes County. Gage Gandy Bail Bonds is located behind the Brazos Courthouse, 116 North Washington Avenue in Bryan. Call 979-821-BOND or visit GageGandyBailBonds.com. We put your feet back on the streets.
For nearly 2 decades, TexAgs has been the #1 Aggie community online. And thanks to that community, we've been able to grow into so much more. TexAgs is now an industry-leading media company that covers Aggie football, basketball, baseball, and recruiting like nobody else. Our staff of over 30 consistently delivers in-depth analysis, X's and O's breakdowns, award-winning video content, and the most reliable inside information you can find. So if you love the Ags, come check us out at TexAgs.com and become a premium subscriber. TexAgs.com/subscribe.
Did your yard look healthy last summer? If not, consider adding some compost. This is Bobby Jenkins of ABC Home and Commercial Services. ABC offers a compost program that uses premium soil-enhancing material. It's the organic way to improving the health of your yard. In addition to being more attractive, a healthy yard fends off diseases and retains and uses water more efficiently. For an organic boost, call ABC Home and Commercial Services, specialists for your environment.
For courteous service, just call ABC Home and Commercial Services.
Aggie football is here, and Texas A&M Transportation Services offers parking and shuttle options. Pay $20 and $25 cash to park near Bush Library, Bonfire Memorial off University, Northside Garage, or Agronomy Road. Ride free shuttles to campus lots, the downtown Bryan shuttle, or get to the grid shuttle from Momentum Plaza. For pre- and post-game traffic and parking info, or to purchase parking before the game, download the Destination Aggieland or Park Mobile app, or visit transport.tamu.edu/football. Follow them on Twitter at Get2AggieGame.
Catch the Liucci Hour every Tuesday and Thursday from noon till 1, where we expect to see you at the tap to get your Aggie football fix with Ryan Brauninger, TexAg's lead recruiting analyst, and Billy Liucci himself. Get Aggie previews, reviews, and recruiting info, plus a special in-restaurant-only pick'em contest. And enjoy lunch specials, which always include a side and a drink. If you can't make it in person, watch the Liucci Hour live on Facebook and YouTube. The Liucci Hour every Tuesday and Thursday at the tap from noon till 1.
It's fall in the Brazos Valley, which means the boys are back. And no, not just the ones on the field. 30 minutes after every Aggie home game, Louie and Dusty are live for the Zone Call-In Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com. The Zone Call-In Show is sponsored by Stephen Gustitis, attorney at law, Symmetria Recovery, and Tradition Mobile One Oil and Lube. The two most understanding guys in Aggieland, it's Louie and Dusty on the Zone Call-In Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com, and it's on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
We are back on the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com. Coming up in about 41 minutes, Andrew Monaco, Dave Elmendorf with the A&M pregame show at 5 o'clock. We'll have kickoff 6:07:29. You know, TV's in charge of that thing. I'm not in charge of that. Dave Elmendorf, again, along with Andrew Monaco. We'll have A&M Kentucky right here on Sports Radio 1150. We'll have Spanish language? That's not Spanish either. Well,
wow.
Spanish language, Aggie football will be on 102.7 FM. Then after the game, 30 minutes after the game, we will have the Zone Call-In Show. Dusty joins me, Louie. We take your phone calls. And again, will we be celebrating the first big win of the Jimbo Fisher era? Will we be talking about what went wrong? We'll know in about 4 hours, 5 hours.
Louis Bueno, do you do that also in bilingual, that post-game, you and Dusty?
I don't even speak English well. How am I supposed to add a second language to the mix? That's not going to happen. Guys, into the matchup tonight. And we'll just start with this. A&M run defense versus Snell and Kentucky's run game. It's weird. Normally you go advantage who. Is there an advantage in that matchup?
I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. I think that's going to be very compelling, obviously. If there is an advantage, I think it's with A&M. Because if you get a stalemate, I think that goes to A&M. That gives A&M the advantage. And I've said before, I believe A&M's defensive numbers against the runner are legitimate because you've played two and maybe three opponents two absolutely legitimate opponents, and maybe another one, Arkansas, that at least has a pulse when it comes to running the football. So, I believe in it. I believe in that. Dalen Mack is really finally having the year that they always being the player they always thought he could be. I always knew Kingsley Key was good. Bada BK is emerging to be the play. You know, we've heard so much about him, and he's playing like it. So the linebacker play has been good. So I think it's legitimate. Does that mean I think they're going to absolutely shut down Benny Snell? No, I think Benny's probably going to hover somewhere between 80 and 100 yards. But if you can keep him somewhat under wraps, I think then you're going to feel like you won.
Listen to all the national people and reading them because, like I said, I'm anxious to see what he does against this new and improved run defense. And when most people I've read or listened to on the air, they said, hey, Benny Snell's good enough, he's going to get his yards. So that being said, I'll be real interested to see that any good defensive coordinator will take away what you do best. So I'm interested to see how Mike Elko lines up his defense to limit the explosive plays by Benny Snell. Number one, because Olin's right. If Benny Snell starts getting over 80 yards and gets up to 100 or in line to 100, then I think they're going to get some things in their offense accomplished because of that. But can Mike Elko force Terry Wilson or somebody else to make plays? I'm very interested in that matchup because obviously if you're Kentucky, you're not going to change anything. You're going to come out and hand the ball to Snell the way you do. So what does A&M do?
That's the one thing. I mean, their running game is not just Snell. I mean, he is obviously the leader. He's the forefront. But Wilson runs too. Even their backup tailback runs too. And Rose. I mean, their running game is more than just one guy. It is definitely led by one guy.
Yeah, but you
understand
you have to be cognizant of that because if you do go to sleep on Wilson, he can zone read you or something like that. Bootleg on you and make you pay. But I think what A&M wants to do, what every defense wants to do, is make the opponent one-dimensional. And I believe that Kentucky is somewhat one-dimensional. They had 99. Benny had 99 yards rushing and a touchdown last week against South Carolina. It's a 24-10 game.
Like 29 carries to get that, too, wasn't
28.
it?
South Carolina, with their quarterback on one leg, throws an interception into the end zone in the fourth quarter that prevented it from being a one-score game. And I just think that if you can keep Snell from having this huge game, then you've got a great chance to beat Kentucky. I mean, it's where it starts. What's very important in that is obviously offensive success. When their game against Mississippi State, they won 28-7. It's 14-7 going into the fourth quarter, and those that were there and I've talked to said Mississippi State just looked tired on defense in the fourth quarter. And then Snell, who's not a guy that gets a lot of long runs. He's more the guy that hits you with the 5 and the 5 and the 5 and 4, and then, oh, by the way, there's a 16. But he just kind of wears you down. And then it was in the fourth quarter he had a 36 and a 28-yard touchdown runs against Mississippi State. So you want to keep your defense as fresh as possible to try to prevent him from wearing you down and having a big fourth quarter.
Seen Wilson has good yardage in all SEC games. So I've seen before, quote, these great running backs come in and the other team goes ahead and does some bootleg passes, tries to get the big plays that way to loosen up the running game, anticipating that A&M's going to be focused on Benny early, throw some safe plays, passes, make some safe plays. So once again, cat and mouse game. Stoops and the offensive coordinator, I think his name's Grand, whatever, was with Florida State with Jimbo. So there is some familiarity between the staffs, and a lot of times that will go into game plan. They're going to say, hey, this is what Jimbo's going to do. Now, they might not know maybe what Mike Elko's going to do as a defensive coordinator, but once again, it'll be interesting to see how both teams come out with that Kentucky running game against A&M's run defense. How does that play out? Who has the best game plan to alter that, come up with the explosive plays either way?
I want to flip it. Is A&M going to be able to run on Kentucky? Because obviously, to me, A&M football.
That's a good question.
When Travion Williams is running, that is what Jimbo wants to do. It's their job number one. We get fixated on Mon passing. Jimbo's job one is to get Travion going in the running game. Is A&M going to be able to run on Kentucky?
Again, why would they not? We know that Arkansas is not a great team, and yet their defense is sound against the run, and A&M ran Travion had 152 yards, and even against Alabama they were able with Kellen as the leading rusher, he was over 100 yards if you just take the sack yardage out of it, which really should be a passing stat anyway. So
yes, it should.
So why there is a lot of criticism, rightly so, directed at the offensive line. But I think that's because of pass protection. And
Correct.
That brings Josh Allen up later.
100% correct.
But when it comes to they're actually run blocking pretty well. So I've got what I think is just a great running back. And I don't like to throw the word great around, but I think.
Remember where we started our conversation about, this is finally, you're not facing 1-2 in the country, you're not facing a team ranked 99 in the country either. That's what I'm interested in, the run blocking matchup for the A&M offensive line. Because they didn't get any push against Clemson or Alabama. Okay, we'll say 1-2 in the country. It wasn't going to happen, right? Fair? And then they pushed around teams that couldn't fight back.
Arkansas
Kentucky will fight back. It'll be interesting.
And, again, you're forgetting, when you say that about Alabama, is they did have some running success. Travion actually got loose for one play that he stepped out of bounds going down the sideline by a couple inches. And if he doesn't, if and buts, right? But if he doesn't, it's a 50-yard touchdown. So I think everything I've seen tells me that A&M can run effectively.
And I think that's a key matchup, Lou. You brought that up because when you look at Kentucky, they've done pretty good on run defense. I think the most they've allowed is 58 yards to any one back, and they haven't faced maybe the caliber of Travion Williams. They faced some decent runners.
They were supposed to have a Mississippi State, but it's null and void because Mississippi State offensively is just a mess, so you can't even use that as a judging stick. You should be able to, but you can't.
But I agree, but they complement one another. And then if A&M Williams can't run the ball effectively, then more falls on Mon. And once again, how's that play? Because I'm with Olin. I thought last week was a huge game because – okay, Travion Williams didn't run against Alabama and Clemson. Okay, not that big a deal, even though since Clemson's defense, I don't, we'll wait and see the whole season plays out. But Travion Williams, to me, picked up big chunks of yardage consistently against Arkansas last week. He had many carries over 5 yards, so I think that bodes well for going into this game.
And look, don't hold it, and I know you guys aren't, don't hold it against Travion if he doesn't have a big game against Alabama or Clemson.
Who does?
Go back and remember Leonard Fournette. We all know how good he was. And if you went back and see what he did against Alabama, it's like 15 yards.
Hey, those games he had nowhere to run. How can I hold it against Travion where he had nowhere to run?
Right.
You can't. Then that's kind of the point. And
I do think Kentucky is very solid in run defense. And from everything I've been told, because I've seen Kentucky play a couple of halves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to act like I'm an expert on them when I haven't, seen them every game. But from everything I'm told, is that their secondary is very good. So
statistics show that too.
It's going to be quite challenging. It's not going to be easy. But again, I don't think Arkansas. I mean, it's McTelvin again. That's Dre Greenlaw. They have some solid defensive players out there, and A&M was able to run on them. Maybe Kentucky's better than Arkansas. Okay, I'll give you that. But I'm just saying I've seen A&M run against some pretty decent running teams, run defenses, Alabama, Arkansas. I think they'll be able to run somewhat successfully. I'm not saying they're going to go out and run for 200.
You want to define it in yards or anything?
Yeah, 150 or better.
For Travion or total?
Total. I think 150 or better.
I think Kentucky would take that right now.
Because I think A&M's going to throw too.
Yeah. So you get 150, 200 is 350 in a game where both teams like to play possession. So 350 might be a good starting point. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, like I said, is both these teams love to keep the ball and limit the mistakes.
Oh, this could be the shortest game of the year, by the way.
Exactly.
This could completely be the shortest. Most college football games are 4 hours. This could be 2:59.
You and Dusty better eat early. You guys could be up there quick. 30 minutes after.
Again, this could be the shortest game all year. It's weird in a way. I think both coaches would be happy to punch each other in the gut until it's 14-14 to kick off the fourth quarter.
No, I think they'll want to.
Let me ask you this, and maybe I'm getting ahead of something that you probably would.
No, go ahead.
But if
it's our show, Olin.
If A&M and Kentucky are both about even in rush in their running game, which team do you think is more likely to make a big play in the passing game?
It's got to be A&M, I would think, because Amon and the receivers being at home. I think all those things. And
I wouldn't be surprised if Sternberger had a big game.
That actually, okay, we're going to go with our players that we're going to pick. I think Sternberger's set up to have a really big game. Kentucky hasn't faced a team that's had a, let's say, premier tight end yet. Talking to some of the Kentucky experts this week, they actually think that's a great way to attack because of the way they play their linebackers and their defense in general. Sternberger is set up every game, I think, to have a big game. We've seen the way level he's playing at. But this game in particular, he could be the X factor. He's the one that, let's just say, 68 yards, 2 touchdown kind of game, total difference.
But also, Kentucky also has tight ends, so they practice against the tight end. It's not like they have a spread offense.
But they haven't had to face
one. They haven't
yet.
faced one, but think
about this.
Will Mon go to Sternberger too much?
Am I going to have to put a mirror against Mon in the run? And then you're going to, you start taking all these players they're going to account for, something has to crack. And then they can't, take Travion out of the game? What are you going to commit to if you're Kentucky's defense? It's not that easy to take every weapon out of the game.
Right. And let's face it.
They're going to be missing a linebacker first half.
You may need to get rid of the ball fast with Josh Allen coming at you.
Without a doubt.
And if you're going to get rid of it fast, a lot of time you're looking for the tight end.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. The conversation will continue. You're listening to the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. The Brazos County Extension Office is now accepting applications for the 2019 Master Gardener Training Class, which will meet Thursdays in the spring. For more information or to apply, visit brazosmg.com. The Bush Library invites educators and the public to a Spotlight on Art Educators event Thursday. You must reserve a spot by Monday. Find more information at bush41.org. The nomination period for the Mayor's Downtown Impact Award is now open. Submit your nomination by October 25th at bryantx.gov. The Blaine College Distinguished Lecture Series welcomes leading historian Daniel Walker Howe to discuss the rise of self-identity among early Americans, Wednesday at 5 p.m. in the Student Center. You can listen to podcasts of interviews from Chip Howard, TexAgs Radio, or The Louis Bellina Show by visiting zone1150.com. I'm Chelsea Reber for Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
You need help if you've been charged with a crime. The justice system is daunting. You need an experienced defense lawyer to obtain the best results for you. Steve Gustitis, attorney at law, has been helping people fight criminal charges for over 20 years. Call Steve Gustitis now to schedule your free consultation. 823-9111. Qualified people are ready to take your call. Let Steve Gustitis put his experience to work for you. 823-9111. Visit GustitisLaw.com today and get the help that you need.
As a child, you remember the day you got your braces off. As a parent, you remember the day the braces went on. Dr. Elms works to make the time in between as productive and enjoyable as possible. Experience tells Dr. Elms the best treatment plan. A great office and staff ensures a great experience, and the convenience of a free shuttle makes the appointments easy and fun. Ask your friends, read our reviews. drelms.com.
Uncork and unwind at Peach Creek Vineyards, a unique Texas vineyard and winery located right here in College Station. Enjoy local wines as you experience the tranquility and peace of Texas country charm found at Peach Creek Vineyards. Sip with friends in the tasting room or under the pavilion overlooking the vineyards and ponds. Open Tuesday through Friday, 3 to 6, Saturday from noon to 6, and Sundays by appointment. Learn more at peachcreekvineyards.com and find Peach Creek Vineyards on Facebook for upcoming events.
For nearly 2 decades, TexAgs has been the #1 Aggie community online. And thanks to that community, we've been able to grow into so much more. TexAgs is now an industry-leading media company that covers Aggie football, basketball, baseball, and recruiting like nobody else. Our staff of over 30 consistently delivers in-depth analysis, X's and O's breakdowns, award-winning video content, and the most reliable inside information you can find. So if you love the Ags, come check us out at TexAgs.com and become a premium subscriber. TexAgs.com/subscribe.
It's important to buckle up your kids.
I know.
Sometimes car seats can be complicated.
I know.
And if your child's in the wrong seat and you get into a crash,
I know.
It could lead to a serious injury.
I know.
So you're 100% sure you have the right car seat for your child's age and size?
I don't know.
Don't think you know. Know you know. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Make sure you have the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The 2018 Fighting Texas Aggie football season is underway, and the Zone has got your coverage from beginning to end on all our social media platforms. Follow the Zone on Twitter at Zone1150, Instagram at Zone1150, and Facebook at Facebook.com/Zone1150. We've even got our very own YouTube page, Sports Radio The Zone 1150. The Jimbo Fisher era is underway, and the Zone has got all the sights and sounds you need. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Follow the Zone on social media today.
Welcome back to the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com. Getting closer to kickoff, A&M Kentucky.
They're shouting OB as they go back, much like Jimbo. It's incredible.
Well, that's progress, because usually they used to see me and shout SOB.
Olin Buchanan.
Everybody has cutbacks.
The legend of TexAgs.com continues with Olin Buchanan and his fan club rolling past us. By the way, you can always stop by and say hi. Autograph sessions are available. We're located on the lawn of the Association of Former Students, the lawn of the Association of Former Students building. That's where we broadcast for every A&M home game. And we won't be back for like 4 weeks, a month, because then the month of November, it'll be Ole Miss, Yob, and then LSU, the final 3 games. This odd 2018 schedule continues. A&M Kentucky, 6 and change, will kick off tonight. I want to throw matchups, because that's where we're at, taking a look at the individual matchups, who can and can't. Josh Allen, Kentucky, pretty good. Rushes passer, 6 sacks. Over, under, 4 sacks tonight.
I'm going to say under.
You sure?
Yes.
4's a lot.
For one guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think he's that guy, when you come to the line of scrimmage, you say, all right, where is he? And if he's on the left side, I'm rolling right. and I'm putting 2 guys on him. Somebody's still hitting him. So I think he's just one of those guys that you just always know where he is and make sure you have one. If you're not running away from him, you have one guy. If you're in the pocket or going his direction, you have 2 or 3 on him.
Yeah, I might go just 2 sacks. If you just said over and under's 2, but I think even 3 sacks by one guy is a lot, man. That's a lot.
I just think A&M offensive line in the pass protection.
I just think A&M's going to try to run the ball a lot too. So if they run the ball, they're not going to throw the ball as much.
If A&M tries to run the ball, I think Kentucky's good enough. Defense is good enough to force 3rd down and pass.
Okay.
I agree. I agree that they're going to have to make some plays in the passing game. I think they're going to run. But, yeah, there's going to be some times it's not there. But, again, I think you look for Josh Allen. And you react. Maybe you check into a different play based on where he is more than anybody. And oh, by the way, I am going to be looking for Kellen to take off and run more, because if I'm seeing it, then I know Jimbo's seeing it. And Jimbo is one of those coaches that doesn't seem to have a problem, obviously, with letting his quarterback run. So if I'm seeing it, I have no doubt he's saying, hey, Kellen, you got to understand when there's an opportunity, sometimes the smart plays just take off.
I think the biggest wild card of the entire game, and it's been talked all week, but Terry Wilson, quarterback, Kentucky, passing. He is not very good, but he can throw a ball deep. He's got an arm strength to him, maybe not the accuracy. A&M secondary, really good at getting receivers behind them. It would appear that he has the arm to get the ball there, but maybe not the accuracy to hit them. There's going to be shots for Kentucky.
Yes.
There's going to be shots for Kentucky to hit these big plays in the passing game.
And there'll be chances for A&M's secondary to make interceptions. He's thrown interceptions in all SEC games. So the flip side is
you can't when they're open. That's the key.
A&M could get that turnover.
Here's where I think the difference is going to be as opposed to some of the other games.
Okay.
It's not as much about Wilson and his inconsistent accuracy. Do you remember how well Charles Oliver had T. Higgins covered on that 64-yard?
Yes.
Okay. There's no T. Higgins running routes for Kentucky. There's no Jerry Jeudy. There may not even be the T.J. Turner or whatever the guy's name, J.T. Turner from Lafayette. I mean for ULM. The Jazz Reynolds, I think his name was.
Yep.
Is it,
Yeah.
I don't want to disparage the Kentucky receivers because if you're not good, you wouldn't be playing in the SEC. However, I don't think they're in the same caliber that some of the guys that A&M DBs have faced, and I think the matchups as far as covering those receivers are more advantageous than maybe some of the previous matchups.
So the problem with A&M secondary has been the quality of receivers they're facing?
Part of it.
Part of it, but I see both sides. I see where you're coming from, but I also see where Louis, if those guys are open by 20 yards, Wilson's going to hit them. And we've seen some guys open.
Yes.
We've seen some guys open.
I think, if you're playing the SEC, I don't care who you are, if you got a receiver that's 20 yards open, you should be able to hit them and make it a big play.
But hopefully we're seeing A&M secondary get better in their coverage too, because, in the last couple of weeks, I think it's hard with Alabama because Tue was so good. But against Arkansas, I consider their receivers somewhat the same. And A&M did a little better job covering them, I think.
It's funny. The more we analyze this, the more I'm thinking, aren't these two teams just the same team?
It is pretty amazing.
Wait. Which two teams? Real quick.
Kentucky and A&M. Aren't they pretty much the same team? I mean, they got a big-time running back. They like to run the ball. They're passing offense. A&M probably has an edge there, but Kentucky has the edge in the secondary.
Both quarterbacks can run.
Both quarterback, right? So.
Okay, this is fun. If they're the same team, let's do this then. Running back, who would you take?
Well, everybody tells me I'm supposed to take Snell, but I like a guy that has the ability to turn a 5-yard gain into a 70-yard gain, and I've seen Travion against big-time competition, Auburn, the good Tennessee, maybe I shouldn't say UCLA, but I've seen Arkansas before have the long runs. And so I'm kind of partial to the guy that the lightning bolt. I think, do you want the thunder, do you want the lightning? And I think Snell is the thunder. I think Travion's the lightning.
See?
If I start, it's hard not to go with your local guy, but if I start in a team, I'd take Snell for obvious reasons.
Quarterback, who would you take?
Oh, gosh, I'd take Mon.
Mon, that'd be a no-brainer.
Offensive line, who would you take?
I'm told that I should take Kentucky. That Bunchy Stallings is a complete bad man. But at the same time, they are starting a transfer at left tackle. They've had injuries there. Again, I'm seeing an A&M offense that's been been very productive. I don't know. Maybe it's a push. If you're going to make me take one, I guess I'll take. And like I said, I know I'm supposed to take Kentucky based on what other people have told me, so I guess I'll take Kentucky.
Well, I want to say this. I've not seen one play at Kentucky. The way the schedule is falling, I've not seen Kentucky play. I'd probably have to take Kentucky on the stats, even though if you take A&M's stats out against the two top-ranked teams, their offensive line has done pretty good. And, once again, is when you play the two top-ranked teams in the country, you're going to have bad stats. So I know you don't want to hear it, but I would say the lines would almost be a wash, maybe even more. I'd be more in I feel better about taking Snell over Williams than I would either one of the offensive lines.
So then we get to the wide receiving core.
That's a no-brainer, too. You got to take A&M just because of the big playability.
You said the receivers?
Wide receiving core.
Yeah, I think I'd take A&M. I mean, I've seen –
So we split.
And I got to put Sternberger in there.
Oh, yeah.
As receiving core.
Exactly. I always do.
Exactly, yeah.
Over on the defensive side, D-line, who would you take? Linebacker, we know you're going to take. And then the secondary, you take Kentucky, right?
Absolutely. Take Kentucky in the secondary.
Secondary, that's a no-brainer.
I find myself fascinating. I think this very quick exercise reinforced what you said, Olin. When we so split on both sides of the ball of which unit you take, didn't we just kind of reinforce the fact, are we talking about the same team?
I think they're very similar.
Because aren't you splitting hairs? A lot of people would love to have Snell or Williams. A lot of people would love to have Sternberger. A lot of people would like to have Kentucky's secondary. A lot of people would love to have A&M's depth at wide receivers, that their fifth guy might be just as good as their first guy.
I wonder what kind of numbers that Travion Williams would have if he played the Kentucky schedule. Now, I know that they haven't played just a whole bunch of stiffs, but he hadn't played at Clemson and he hadn't played in Alabama. And Florida's a solid defensive team. I get that. Mississippi State's supposed to be, and they were, I guess, until the fourth quarter.
Mississippi State is defensively.
Well, I think Mississippi State is really good in the defensive line.
I think they're also being hung out to dry by their offense.
Well, obviously, but I do wonder if they're as good in the next two levels, the linebacker and safety and secondary, as their reputation. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I haven't seen enough of Mississippi State. I knew coming in, I loved that defensive line. They had a couple guys on that line that I thought were going to be high NFL draft picks. Anytime you got two of the four, that's a good way you can put pressure on. They're good against tackling, but I don't know what's happened to them. They've really fallen apart.
Well, Mississippi State Animals face off against them. What happened was very simple. That's the whole coach is doing square and circle. He has a quarterback who's a square. He's trying to put him into a circle offense. Therefore, nothing whatsoever fits. That's mindlessly simple. We're going to take one final timeout, come back, final predictions, final answer. You're listening to the Zone Game Day Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com.
For nearly 2 decades, TexAgs has been the #1 Aggie community online. And thanks to that community, we've been able to grow into so much more. TexAgs is now an industry-leading media company that covers Aggie football, basketball, baseball, and recruiting like nobody else. Our staff of over 30 consistently delivers in-depth analysis, X's and O's breakdowns, award-winning video content, and the most reliable inside information you can find. So if you love the Ags, come check us out at TexAgs.com and become a premium subscriber. TexAgs.com/subscribe.
Be good to your vehicle, and it'll be good to you. Hi, I'm Gabriel Garcia from Traditions Mobile One Oil and Lube. And while that's a simple concept, it's so true. We're a full-service oil and lube shop with years of experience. And that experience tells us to always go the extra mile for our customers. Like topping off fluids for free on most vehicles and free tire pressure checks.
See Traditions Mobile One Oil and Lube on Villa Maria at 2818 next to Raleigh Car Wash or at East William J. Bryan next to the main post office.
If you're not bundling your insurance with Allstate, you might have fear of missing out, or FOMO.
You're too old to say FOMO.
But people who don't bundle their auto and home with Allstate...
No, FOMO's about fun stuff, not insurance.
But what if people use the money they save to pay for that fun stuff?
Okay, fine.
Bundle your auto and home insurance and save up to 25%. Call BCS Allstate agent Jerry Anderson, class of 82 at 979-764-0015 today.
Switching to Allstate is worth it.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
Aggie football is here, and Texas A&M Transportation Services offers parking and shuttle options. Pay $20 and $25 cash to park near Bush Library, Bonfire Memorial off University, Northside Garage, or Agronomy Road. Ride free shuttles to campus lots, the downtown Bryan shuttle, or get to the Grid shuttle from Momentum Plaza. For pre- and post-game traffic and parking info, or to purchase parking before the game, download the Destination Aggieland or Park mobile app, or visit transport.tanu.edu/football. Follow us on Twitter at @GetToAggieGame.
Catch the Bellucci Hour every Tuesday and Thursday from noon till 1, where we expect to see you at the tap to get your Aggie football fix with Ryan Brauninger, TexAg's lead recruiting analyst, and Billy Liucci himself. Get Aggie previews, reviews, and recruiting info, plus a special in-restaurant-only pick'em contest. And enjoy lunch specials, which always include a side and a drink. If you can't make it in person, watch the Bellucci Hour live on Facebook and YouTube. The Bellucci Hour every Tuesday and Thursday at the tap from noon till 1.
It's fall in the Brazos Valley, which means the boys are back. And no, not just the ones on the field. 30 minutes after every Aggie home game, Louie and Dusty are live for the Zone Collins Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com. The Zone Collins Show is sponsored by Jerry Anderson, Allstate Insurance, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Caliber Realty, and Elms Orthodontics. The two most understanding guys in Aggieland, it's Louie and Dusty on the Zone Collins Show, sponsored by TexAgs.com, and it's on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
Almost, but not quite done with a Zone Game Day show sponsored by TexAgs.com. Louis Bellina, Olin Buchanan of TexAgs, TexAgs.com, TexAgs Radio. That's a lot of TexAgs. And Robert Cessna of the Bryan College Station Eagle. You guys have proven that without a doubt. Here, every A&M home game, A&M home tonight against Kentucky Kyle Field. Tonight is throwback uniforms, 1998.
Way back.
Dang, that makes me feel old if that's a throwback.
That's exactly what I thought, Louis.
98 is 20 years.
Yeah.
And that is throwback. That's eligible for throwback. But I remember 98. I'm sorry. I was like only 8 years removed out of my 10 years at A&M as a student. And I'm like, Was it that long ago, really, was A&M's last conference championship?
TWA Dome. Come on. How can you forget that? That's when they had the old surface when it was so hard, the AstroTurf. It was like you shouldn't have played on that.
I wasn't there. I was in the Alamo Boat Dome that day, watching a high school game.
Remember Brandon Stewart, mild-mannered Brad, and then he got a touchdown.
It's a truly sad statement that it's been 20 years since A&M's won
That's true.
a conference
That's true.
championship, and I don't think we have to beat that to death because there's not one Aggie that would disagree. A&M's a program that's always had higher goals, has invested a lot more, and the expectations, it doesn't matter who the head coach or what time period, what conference they're in. Yeah, it's not supposed to be 20-plus years in between conference championships, but again, I have trouble with just that was 20 years ago. I keep coming back to the old factor of that.
I remember vividly the media hotel was, you had that walkway over the TWA Dome, and you went out there that morning, and there was nothing but a sea of maroon. Aggie's so excited, for the prospect. And then you say to yourself, well, how long is it going to take you to get back here? Or something. Yeah, and of course, you still.
But A&M was still in the decade of excellence, and the idea of playing conference championships, you say how long to get back here? Well, you were thinking next year, 2 years at most.
I understand.
At that time, and 20 years later, and still searching. And with Jimbo Fisher here, I'm going to ask this question.
Oh.
How long till Jimbo's playing in the SEC championship?
Well, that's so hard to say since
I ask hard questions.
Since
It's what we do.
Alabama is such a machine.
Well, Saban's retiring after this year.
He's not.
15-0.
And Tue as a sophomore.
40-point average margin of victory. His seventh national championship. He's done.
I think in his third year would be a legitimate target.
That's 2020.
Well, I have a 2020 vision.
Thank you, Foreigner.
Yeah, I think you got to give him a chance to, get every unit up to par. There's a lot of units you can say, well, he made great progress, but when you're measuring everything by Alabama, or maybe in this case Georgia, you've got to look at it that way, and it's no quick fix. Right now this could be an 8-9 win season. We'll know more after tomorrow, but you got to take time. If you're looking what can happen in 2 years, look at Tom Herman. He loses to Maryland. He beats Oklahoma today. I mean, everybody's program takes time, and we're seeing a lot of first-year coaches struggle, but I wouldn't say Jimbo Fisher's struggling at all. He just played two very good teams.
He's got the number one ranked recruiting class in the country right now.
Number one. Yeah.
Let him see if he can't close that out. Give him a year to get those guys into his program and start
developing. And then add the next year at least top 5 again. And that will have been about 50 scholarships plus the past, about 15 his own. You have 65 people in the program that are all his.
And then you think, okay, maybe it's time to feel like that you can actually legitimately contend. But I've always said the first thing you need to do is get to where you can beat the Mississippi schools.
Win all the games you should win.
The wins, and then
break even on the other ones.
The next
top
step would be
25s.
Beating LSU and then start aiming for championships.
It's funny. I've said that too, Olin. You know that. It's a three-tiered process. And number one is it's not even beat. You don't worry about the Mississippi schools. They're not big games. They're not. No, it's true.
I understand. You're right.
If you think you're going to beat Alabama, you don't even register the Mississippi schools. That's not the same quality.
Nick Saban's not thinking about beating the Mississippi schools.
Have. Because if you're really having to get up and worry about Mississippi schools, Alabama's beyond you. And the middle ground is LSU, which A&M still has not beaten in SEC play.
Auburn, too, up in there.
What you need to become is you need to remember just 3 or 4 years ago, Alabama always had to beat LSU.
Yep.
And you need to supplant LSU as being that team that, Alabama's big rival's always going to be Auburn, but their secondary team was LSU. Not so much, maybe still this year, who knows, but you need to supplant LSU as being that team that Alabama looks at and says,
That's a good point.
Alabama expects to win the championship, but they know they're going to have to beat A&M to do it, and that's what you're trying.